Welcome to Module 4 of the Legacy Holistic Health Coach Training Program. Now, in today's module, we are going to be talking all about, after we do our check-in, we're going to be talking all about time management and SMART goals. Now, if time management has been something that has been the thorn in your side, today we are going to be in this module speaking specifically about the different ways to make sure that time is not only managed effectively, but that you're able to get to every goal and everything that you set out for yourself effectively and timely over not just this week or month or year, but even over the next 5 years. So if you haven't already yet, take a moment to get in front of you any of the handouts that accompany this module, any of the pieces that go with making sure that you can get through this module effectively. Now, for your check-in, I want you to take the opportunity and review last week's assignment. Make sure that it is done thoroughly before coming to this particular module, or last module's assignment before coming to this particular module. So take a moment and review that, those particular assignments for the previous module, and have them nearby, because you're going to want to reference them throughout the information in this module. The word for this module is value. Believe it or not, the human mind always places a value on every single thing that we look at and every single thing that we lay our eyes on. We automatically assess value to it, and we automatically decide what it's worth while we're looking at it. Whether it's a person, whether it's a place, whether it's a thing, no matter what it is, the moment we lay eyes on something, we determine if it's worth continuing to give our time and attention to, and at what level we decide to pay attention. Now, our time is one of the greatest things of value that we have. And so understanding how valuable our time is allows us to quickly navigate the things that are either wasting our time or pushing us forward. Malcolm X once said that the future belongs to those who prepare for it today. Now, I want to add to that it's not just the future, but success, massive success, fruitful relationships, anything that we put out in front of us that becomes an amazing, robust, big, daring, hairy, audacious goal is something worth preparing for before we set out to do that thing. If we're bringing it into our subconscious space and wanting it to be a part of what we do, it is definitely something that deserves some of our present time. So, what is your most valuable asset? What is the thing that money cannot buy? And even though people may think it's love, or it's their great looks, or it's their good genes, but your most valuable asset is your time. It is the minutes that are ticking away on the clock. It is the seconds that are used thinking about something that either propels you forward or keeps you back. Your time is the most valuable asset you have. Believe it or not, even though we spend up to 8 hours during our day, research shows that every human being only has 3 to 5 highly productive hours. Now think about that for just a moment. 3 to 5 highly productive hours. 3 to 5 hours during a 24-hour day. Can that really be the truth? It is absolutely the truth. 3 to 5 hours during any 24-hour day. If you think about how a 24-hour day is broken down, you can quickly see how the time will get away from you. 8 of those hours are usually spent sleeping, or they should be spent sleeping. Vast majority of those hours are typically spent, if you work a regular 9 to 5, working on building someone else's dream, right? How many of those hours have you carved out to build your health coaching practice? How many of those hours have been carved out to move your business forward? Think about where those hours are going, or where your hours are being spent, or where the bulk of your time is being spent. And I want you to think about when your most highly productive hours are. Research shows that most of the highly productive hours that people are awake are spent doing non-important tasks. Now, I want you to take a moment here and just briefly jot down when during the day you think your most highly productive hours are. Is it when you wake up first thing in the morning? Is it during the middle of the day? Is it right before you go to lunch? When are your most highly productive hours? Think about that. Now think about what you're actually doing during those hours. Are you writing emails? Are you planning out your goals for your business for the year? Are you writing a grocery or a laundry list of things that need to be done at your home? What are you doing during those most highly productive hours? You see, the thing is, the things that we do during those highly productive hours are really the things that shape our lives long term. They are really the things that determine how far, how fast we move forward in our endeavors. And so it makes sense that we want to make sure that the top priorities in our lives are given some time during these highly productive hours. Let's take a look at some of the top time wasters. Research shows that some of the top time wasters are those things listed on the screen right now. Now, while you're going over this list, think about the things that you actually do that are listed on this list. Now, there may be some things that you do that are not on this list. So some of the top time wasters are complaining about things that we can't change anyway, commuting or driving in traffic. Believe it or not, some people commute more than an hour one way to their morning or evening destination. Gossiping or talking about things or people that aren't fruitful, doing other people's work, helping other people out, instead of doing the work that we're responsible for, watching TV, hanging out with negative people, or people who aren't actively progressing our lives and our mindsets forward, procrastinating or coming up with every reason in the world to continue to be indecisive about the things we really want to get done, reading the news, antagonizing other people, waiting for something amazing to happen for us instead of going out and getting that thing done ourselves, and attending unnecessary meetings just because we want to stay in the loop. Now, there are several ways that we can be creative and do these things, even outside of the way they're listed. There's ways to gossip on social media. There's also ways to hang out with negative people on social media, in addition to watching television on social media and doing other things for other people and continuing to be indecisive, all happening virtually. So we're at a time and age where we don't necessarily have to be connected or with other people physically for these things to waste our time. So it is critical now more than ever that we garner a huge respect for the value that our time has. How many things on this list can you honestly say that you do on a regular basis? No one's going to see your checklist, don't worry. But honestly, how many things on this list do you do once a day? Maybe once a week. Maybe once a month. Or maybe you do it several times a week. Think about those things. And imagine if you replace those things with the opposite. For instance, instead of commuting, finding a way to work closer to home, or finding a way to do what you love by working online. These things take a little bit of time to build, but they're absolutely possible. For instance, finding ways to, instead of complaining, finding ways to be or create a solution as a viable source of income for yourself. Maybe instead of gossiping, you put up quotes every day that actually build people up. So there's several ways to use the time to be very fruitful instead of using the time to be wasted. One of the most beautiful quotes I've ever heard is that every single person has the same 24 hours a day. It's how we manage those hours that makes the difference in those who are successful and those who are not. Jim Rohn also said it best: time is more valuable than money. You can always get more money, but you cannot get more time. Think about the value that you place on your time. Are you giving the most of your time to the people that you love? Or are you giving your time away to people on social networks and people who overextend you on your job? Where's the bulk of your time going? Well, now think about where you want that time to go. When we think about where our time is going and how to properly divide our time, we think about what is called big rocks, or what Stephen Covey likes to call our big rocks. Now, what he said was that our big rocks are the priorities in our lives. Our little rocks are the tiny little things that almost always get in the way of us prioritizing the big rocks in our lives, the things that matter the most to us: our spouse, our children, our businesses or our careers, our clients, the things that matter the most to us, versus small, tiny, little things, interacting on social media, calling up a girlfriend and gossiping a little bit, right? The tiny little tasks that get in the way are the things that we have to be careful about. In this module, in the notes below the video of this module, you have a video demonstration of the big rocks technique and how to understand how to begin to prioritize your big rocks and schedule those things and allow the smaller, non-important things to begin to trickle and fill the spaces between the big rocks. So take a moment now and think about what your biggest rocks are. What are the things that are on the top shelf for you? What are the things that mean the most to you and that matter in everything that you're doing? You can look at this as what is your why. You can look at this as what is your biggest, most major accomplishment that you're looking to happen for yourself over the next year. What are the big rocks? What are the main priorities that if these things don't get done, you will feel incomplete. There is a reason why every bar keeps beer on tap and the most expensive alcoholic beverages on the top shelf. Those beverages are top priority. And the clients who order those beverages repeatedly become the top priority of the people in the establishment. What are your top shelf things? What are your biggest priorities? Take a moment and pause this module and write those things down. Make sure that when you write those things, you are completely clear and have the most clarity around what they are and why they are your biggest rocks. After you've written these things down, evaluate how much time and energy you put into those big rocks. For example, is your health and your well-being a big rock? Is it a huge priority for you? It should be one of your greatest priorities, especially as a health coach. We are the people who are going to lead by example. We must take our own journeys first before we can do that. So take a moment and decide, is your health one of those big rocks? And if so, is it on your top shelf or is it under the bar with the things that are less valuable? What are the things that are on your top shelf? Why are they there? Why are they your biggest and greatest things of value? And how much time and energy have you been pouring into those things? We can never be what we don't practice. So the more often we spend time and pour energy and momentum into our big rocks, the more we will be able to see those rocks flourish and be exactly what we want them to be. One of the greatest things and most effective things we can do is not wait for someone else to manage our vision, not wait for someone else to manage what we feel is most important, not wait for someone else to help us identify what our highest and greatest value is. One of the most amazing things that we could do is to make certain that all of our time is managed effectively and it's managed properly. Now, one of the best ways to do that is to be our own manager. And in being our own manager, some of the top priorities that belong to us, a few of these are on the screen. Now, don't worry, there's several more ways to be able to do this in the notes listed with this module. We're going to run through a few of these so that you can understand what it means to manage yourself and be the greatest manager of you. So first, the first thing to note is that you can never get you wrong. You will always be the creator, the author, the finisher. You will always be the head producer and the manager of you, and no one else is going to be a greater manager of you and your time than you will be. So one of the things you want to start doing is identify your highest values and operate from them. Don't compromise when it comes to your highest values. If among the things that are most valuable to you, your big rocks include taking a vacation and doing self-care, don't let anything stand in the way of that. Plan it effectively so that it happens for you every time it's supposed to. The next thing you want to do is clarify your purpose, your priorities, and your goals. Now, in just a moment, we're going to go into how to create goals that are highly clear so that you have a specific target to hit every single time. Design and implement an effective business plan. It doesn't matter what business you're in, planning for it to be highly successful must happen. Whether you're running a business online or whether you're opening a brick and mortar, the time has to be managed effectively and the planning has to be managed effectively for everything that accompanies that endeavor to be fruitful. Create strategic plans of action. Goals and willpower simply will not get you there. Having a specific strategy and plan of action that is step by step for you to be able to trace and go back to and improve upon is highly critical to being successful. Learn to work smarter and not harder. Eliminate anything that you feel like wastes your time. Now, as you grow in business, you'll be able to see what things and what people are immediately going to be a time waster for you. You will also learn to be able to handle that particular situation with a great amount of ease and finesse. So don't worry. Even if you don't know how to manage your time properly right now, you will learn over the course of this year as your goals become completely clear and defined. You'll be able to see that the majority of your time has to go into the specifics of each of your goals. So you simply have less time to attend to the things that will waste your time. Plan your days and set up a schedule and stick to it. Don't allow anyone or anything to disrupt your schedule. Yes, emergencies happen and things come up, but try not to let those things disrupt your day. For example, if you plan your day and you make a list of your big rocks and your little rocks, and something comes up that completely throws your day off. It happens. We're human. We're here to learn, expand, and evolve. So there's no guarantee that every single day is going to be a beautiful, great, non-eventful day and highly effective day. But we can turn that day around based on how we react. When things go wrong, don't go with them. When things go left, you go right. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade, give them back. You choose to accept what's happening in your day and how you handle how it happens. Learning how to handle things that come up will eventually give you an amazing finesse and unshakable resolve when it comes to doing business. And it will also allow you to never let anything affect or wreck your day. Anything that didn't get done on your list, if a day didn't go well, those things are top priority for you the next day so that you keep your word in getting things done. Don't worry. One day soon after these events have happened, you will find that you're able to catch up and even get ahead on your goals because you planned them and you stuck to them. Now let's look at some quick tips for time management. There are several ways to be able to manage your time. And keeping your energy focused is futile without some intentions and real directions. Knowing where you're headed, knowing what you're working towards, think about those things specifically and what you'd like to do, especially with your education with the Legacy Holistic Health Institute. What are your goals building for you? What do you want your practice to be like? The tips that you're going to use here for managing your time are highly critical to making sure that you meet those goals and you get to the end point that you envision for yourself. How many hours do you want to work each week? Now, there is a weekly timesheet associated with this module. It is located to the right of your screen in the external links category. You may use this weekly timesheet for yourself and even for clients. This will help them stay on track, schedule different things in the morning and the evening, especially when it comes to their big and little rocks. And it will allow you to stick to what you said you're going to do. Having a time frame for each of your goals and setting a timer when you're working allows you to quickly move forward to the next thing. Identify the times of day when you do your best work. What are your high functioning hours? Is it before everyone in your home is awake? I like to plan my day out when everyone is asleep. When everyone in the world, or so it seems, is still at rest. I like to plan my day and I like to visualize how my day is going to go. So it's more than just writing the list of big rocks and little rocks on my whiteboard, but it's also about envisioning my day and envisioning me being successful at the end of that day, whether that successful thing is getting everything done and finishing the day with complete laughter, or whether it is me envisioning going to bed just a little bit earlier to get even more rest. Note the times of day that are most difficult for you. Are you getting sleepier around 3 or 4 p.m.? Psychologically and physiologically, there is a point during your day where you are no longer high functioning. Build your schedule around those personal time cycles that you have and honor them. Know your limit and try to avoid burnout as much as possible. It's easy when you're building a new business to really be headstrong about plowing forward and getting things done. But pulling back is just as important as starting and plowing forward. Know when to pull back and give yourself a rest, reset, so that you can go back in. Acknowledge that there is a time in a day after a certain number of hours when your efforts are actually not being useful. And understanding when that point is critical to you being able to understand where you need to stop before burnout happens. It's also critical in letting you know if you need to delegate more. If you seem like you've got a longer list and you've got time to get things done, it may be time to start pushing some things off your list and delegating them. Are you trying to do all of the house chores in addition to building a business and working a job? It may be time to give some of the chores to the children if they're there. It may be time to maybe bring someone in for a week to do some of the chores for you, just on a trial basis to see how you feel. Are you having trouble staying on track with your food? It may be time to look into a trial period of a food service that may be delivering your food, and that may be one of your big rocks. So think about those things. If you're getting to a space where you're burning out and you've got less day or less time, then you've got things that need to be done, it's definitely time to start enlisting some help, right? Remember that the people you bring onto your team and the people who are here in this world to support you will make you stronger than if you only use your personal efforts alone. So think about the things that you need and the things that you need to get done. Now, you may not need to bring anyone else in. It may very well be that there are just simply too many things on your list. And in that case, it's time to start prioritizing some things or moving some things to another day and spreading things out. It's okay to plan your month. It's okay to plan your year. It's also okay to plan your next 5 and 10 years. The most successful businesses in the world know exactly what they're going to be doing 5 years from now. Are you one of those people? Will you be highly successful? Think about what it takes to get there. It's not that these people have greater abilities, more access. Some of them actually have less abilities. And we've all heard where most million and billionaires are people who are self-made. So they may or may not have had proper access to be highly successful at what they do. But one thing is absolutely certain is that they became great at managing their time and amazing at managing their setbacks. So think about that. I believe that if you're listening to this module, you have exactly what it takes to be highly successful at whatever it is you want to be. Managing your time is the first step to doing just that. When we're talking about managing our time and making sure that we are effective with our time, we actually want to look at what it takes to understand what is urgent versus what is important. Now, one of the things you want to be able to understand in this particular handout is that the majority of people spend time on things that they think are important and not necessarily urgent. So you want to make sure that the majority of your time is spent on the things that are urgent and important, and the things that make sense for you to be able to move your business forward. Let's take a look at SMART goals. When we're judging what is important versus what is urgent, now you've probably already heard about SMART goals and you're familiar with them, but now is the most critical time to dust them off and bring them out. Every goal that you set becomes 60% more likely to be accomplished if it follows the SMART model. The goals must be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Also, relevant may also be results-driven, depending on the goal. So, the specificity of a goal has everything to do with making it simple, clear, defined, what you're going to do. It's kind of where the rubber meets the road. It's not just enough to say, I'd like a new car. It's not just enough to say, I want to go back to school. It's a goal of mine. It has to be highly specific. I'd like to go back to school for a doctorate in mind-body medicine. That is an example of the specificity of a SMART goal. What is the goal that you have that you can be highly specific about? Another way to be highly specific about a goal, or another example using the same example, is I'd like to do continuing education, reaching the doctorate level with a degree in mind-body medicine at an institution in the United States or in the Southeast United States. Highly specific. So any goal that you set for yourself, make it highly specific. It doesn't matter if it's a goal that you're looking to reach 5 years, 10 years, 1 year, or even 3 months down the line. If it is a goal that you want to accomplish from the beginning, make it highly specific. The measurable part of a goal speaks to the fact that the goal should be measurable so that you have tangible evidence that you've either accomplished the goal or not. What is the marker that you're intending to reach? Usually the entire goal statement is a measure of the project, but there are usually several short-term or smaller measurements built into the goals. So remember, what is the measuring point of you reaching your goal? Let's take the continuing education goal again. I'd like to continue my education at the doctorate level, attaining a degree in mind-body medicine in a school within the United States, or more specifically, the Southeastern United States, by the year of 2020. So now it is a measurable goal. You can also make it even more specific and say July 2020, July 12th, 2020. You can make it even more specific. The more specific you make a goal, it literally becomes like magic. It makes it easier for that goal to be manifested. The achievability of a goal is absolutely critical. They should stretch you slightly so that you feel challenged, but your goals should never be so insurmountable or inhumanly possible that they make you feel like you are failing or haven't progressed. You must possess the appropriate knowledge, skills, and abilities now to achieve the goal that you're looking to attain. You can meet most any goal when you plan your steps wisely and establish a time frame that allows you to carry out those steps. Now remember, when you're looking at achieving the goals and starting to achieve goals, one of the most amazing things you could do in writing out your list each day and the things you want to get done, and whether you write your list on a whiteboard or whether you keep a list electronically, have a way to actually strike things off or check things off of your list. This pen to paper or marker to board or finger to electronic device that swipes allows your brain to imprint subconsciously pieces of success, pieces of progress, wins every day, all day. Even if it's a small thing like sitting the trash out, put it on your board and strike it off. Let yourself feel like you're accomplishing even the smallest little things. And this will help you begin to craft the achievability portion of your goals. It will allow you to be able to see that you can get big, audacious goals accomplished with small little things. Results-focused goals are absolutely necessary. They should measure the outcomes and not the actual activities. So you should be making sure that you actually look at what result has happened of applying to the schools. What result has come about from stepping forward and starting this goal? Track your results. Track your personal progress. If you haven't already yet, do your legacy wheel. And we highly encourage you to do your legacy wheel once per quarter during the program. Now, you've done it already in Module 2. The next time for you to do it is after your first exam and going into your break. So you'll get the opportunity to review and do your legacy wheel to see how far you've actually come and look at the progress. The last thing goals should be are time bound. Every single goal we set should be linked to some form of time frame that creates practical sense of urgency, or the results in tension between the current reality and the vision of the goal. Without there being a tension there, the goal is unlikely to produce any relevant outcome. So if you're not bound by time or constrained by a time frame to get something done, then it will more than likely almost never get done or kind of get lost in everything else that needs to be done. This is extremely important when it comes to your big rocks. This is extremely important when it comes to the things that are the greatest priorities in our lives. Knowing what needs to happen when it comes to our SMART goals is so important. And developing sound goals is critical to managing your performance. Remember how to define a SMART goal, and remember to always write your goals in the SMART format so that you increase your chances of actually meeting that goal every single time. The sooner you begin to practice this, the sooner you'll be able to see that the small things that lead up to the large accomplishments of your goals are the things that take up your time. You'll begin to weed out all of the things that waste time and be able to focus in on the things that are going to propel you forward and the things that are going to help you build and establish a bounding coaching practice. Now it's time for your homework assignment for this module. What are your top shelf things? Be specific about those things. And what are your big rocks? What are the things that are your greatest priority? And what are the things that you may have not been prioritizing, but they belong on your top shelf? Begin to separate these things and understand fully what they are. Also, be sure to answer all of the questions that are here with the notes section of this particular module.